Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, beautiful soul family, and welcome to Weekly Wisdom and Insights, your home for spiritually guided transformation and empowerment. I am your host, Dearjames, and together with the unseen, Spirit, Source, and Symphony, we look at the current energies, the intuitive wisdom and insight, and we go as guided. And we have so much to cover in this episode, so we are just going to jump right in. And remember that we incorporate your comments and questions live throughout the broadcast, so just drop them in and we will incorporate them. So let's get to it. So our main energies, welcome Alicia, our main energies, it's the final day of the 10-month, in the show. So it's treading, cautious advance. The beauty of the 10 and the 30 is about clarity and to perceive. And so we've been working with this theme about clarity. It's an 8-year, all year long, uniting, unite. This 12, stand still, release. It's about releasing what no longer serves. And as we do this, and again, look at the beauty of the 10, the 30, the 8, the 12, that culminates in a 3. Very auspicious, powerful numbers. And it says, yes, that at the beginning, it may be difficult, but persevere. So as we move from these main energies, we want to move into the astrological influences. And with the focal point, welcome Deborah, with a focal point on the upcoming, really the main event is the upcoming, it's on this coming Sunday, Mars-Pluto opposition at 29 degrees, Cancer and Capricorn. Just before that on Friday is the new moon in Scorpio at 9 degrees. So you can see all of these things. 9 completes a cycle. The 29 in astrology is the most powerful. It's the anaretic degree. It's these huge, massive endings and shifts. And when I looked at this, so when I looked at the main astrological chart, I'm just going to bounce between these two images because it was about the sacred square and the number 42. And here is the astrological chart for Mars, the Mars-Pluto opposition. And when you look in the center, you will see 3 minor grand trines. They are the points are to the exterior of the circle, if you will. And so you see one on the left, one kind of bottom left, and then going over bottom right. And it's like facets on a diamond. So there are these minor grand trines. In the middle is a grand water trine. It's between Mercury and the moon in Sagittarius, down to Neptune in Pisces, over to Mars in Cancer. So, and then when you look, so you have this grand trine, it's a big triangle in the center, and then these mini triangles supporting it. And then in the center is this rectangle. So, and then of course there's the 3 the prominent opposition that's between Pluto and Mars, left to right. Top to bottom, there's one between Venus and Jupiter, and then a more subtle one between, or loose one, if you will, between Mercury and the moon, the new moon, and Uranus down below. The point of all of this is that as I was looking at this chart, intuitively what came to me was the phrase sacred square. And I know most of you are probably going, but it's a rectangle, Dearjames. And I'm like, yes, it is, image-wise. But what the unseen was saying was sacred square. And then I heard the number 42. And so when I looked up sacred square, it says in the context of ancient Egyptian mythology, the number 42 is significantly linked to the, quote, sacred square, representing the 42 questions a deceased person would be asked during the judgment of the soul in the afterlife, known as the, quote, negative confessions. These negative confessions were answering truthfully to all 42 questions, allowed the passage into the next life. Essentially, the sacred square symbolizes the space where this judgment took place, with each side representing a facet of the 42 questions. And we were just speaking about these minor grand trines looking like facets on a diamond. And so the number 42, the sacred square, it goes on to talk, Egyptian Book of the Dead, the deceased would be questioned by 42 judges, each representing a specific sin or negative attribute, making 42 a pivotal number in the afterlife judgment process. The symbolic meaning, the sacred square can be interpreted as a symbolic representation of the space where this judgment occurred, with each side potentially representing a set of questions or aspects of the deceased's life that were scrutinized. We're in Scorpio season. This whole death, birth, or, life, death, birth, renewal, and so forth, this inner reflection. And this strongly connects with, because what I was looking at too was, so I was looking at the astrological chart for Friday's Scorpio new moon. And then I looked at the Sabian symbols. And my first reaction was like, ooh, I don't like this. I don't like the symbols. I don't like, and of course, as the unseen says, you don't get to pick and choose. We take, quote unquote, the good with the bad, so to speak. And then I recognized as well, then I'm like, okay, well, let me move on and look at the greater aspect, this Pluto-Mars opposition, because it's the event. And all of a sudden, the chart is incredibly auspicious. The Sabian symbols, equally so. And we will cover those in next week's show, the Sabian symbols. We may get to some of them. There's so much to cover here. And so it was like this dark before the dawn, meaning that the Scorpio new moon is almost like the death before the rebirth. And how dark, heavy it can be. And it's a new moon, and yet it's still, there's a deep message about death and rebirth. Welcome, Olivia. And this particular scripture goes along with this. It's been used in the current U.S. election and so forth. It's Psalm 30, 30-5. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. And it was so poignant for this, the Scorpio new moon chart to the Mars-Pluto opposition chart, and this death rebirth. And it goes along with item number 3 from the unseen. And they said, there are, underlined are, there are those that will, underlined, inherit the kingdom of heaven. And those that won't, don't. Choose. And whether this inheriting the kingdom of heaven occurs in this instant, in this moment, or 1,000 years from now, the time per se is irrelevant. The point is that our actions, our matter, our character matters, our grace, our goodness, our kindness matters. There are those that will have heaven and those that don't. Choose. And this sacred square and the number 42 and how it's tied to literally the soul's review in the afterlife, the 42 questions. And so it was very powerful. I hope you're tracking along with all of this. So we come then to our actual main themes for this week. And the first thing I heard, and this theme has been playing out with us, this peace be with you. And then we have dear medicine. We have the sacred square, the number 42. This keep going, follow me. And this is a statement from the unseen, from Master Jesus, God, the all that is. This keep going, follow me, with an exclamation point. The Mars-Pluto opposition, the Aries full moon that occurred on the 17th of October, and the Scorpio new moon that occurs on the 1st of November on Friday. These are our main themes. And so, again, with this, we come to this place of greatness. And I just want to recap really quickly before we come into the main theme, where we began with this 3 shows ago. So we came into this with the first theme being the impossible dream realized, and it was with wolf medicine. And then we came forward, and it was about heightened awareness, owl medicine. And today, culminating, or in the trinity of this, is peace be with you, dear medicine. And this beautiful image, I mean, it's just magical, this beautiful image of this stag with the horns, and it's kind of with a blue background that's very it invokes both heaven, the heavens, and the era of Christmas and everything, this feeling of winter and Christmas. Peace be with you is both a greeting, as we've covered. It's both a greeting in Hebrew and so forth. It's a greeting. And yet it was also after the crucifixion and the resurrection. And the apostles were in a room, fearing for themselves, in a locked room. The door was locked. Master Jesus presented himself. The door was locked, but he appeared anyways. And the moral of the story is that the all that is, God, Master Jesus, the all that is ever present with us. There is no boundary. There is no lock. There is nothing that prevents the beauty of that essence being with us at all times. Omnipresent, all-knowing, all-seeing, everywhere, all at once. And so this theme of peace be with you and dear medicine. So I want to bring in, and also with these 2 main themes or sub-themes, challenge versus opportunity, which wolf to feed. So are we feeding the wolf of challenge, of opposition, of hate and anger and resentment and grudges and so forth? Or are we feeding the wolf of opportunity? That's what these shows have been, this trilogy of shows has been talking about. And the second sub-theme is this breaking through the illusion. And I love this image because you can see 1, 2, 3, there are 4 squares within this glass ceiling. And then there are all of these triangles. And so, of course, the square and the triangle represents the pyramid. It's one of the most iconic, greatest constructions on Earth that we've still yet to fully understand. And yet, the moral of the story is breaking through the illusion, breaking through the ceiling, whatever that ceiling may be for each individual one of us and collectively. And how the square, it's foundational. and the triangle, three-sided trinity. And so it brings about both stability and fire activity, the pyramid, and thereby how we have everything we need within us to reach a higher octave, to be more than we've ever allowed ourselves to be, and to recognize that any limitation is an illusion. And so this moment is about breaking through the illusions. It's also about, it's the first thing, the first and the seventh thing from the unseen. They go together. And then we're going to jump into the astrology and the deer medicine and so forth, which is phenomenal. But the first thing the unseen said was passing the baton to a new generation. And so again, this Pluto-Mars opposition, the astrology chart of this, the sacred square, the number 42, the judgment of things, it's about passing the baton to a new generation. Equally, number 7, what's my legacy? What am I both leaving behind and receiving? Exclamation point. We often think about legacies as something that we leave. It's what we leave behind. And it can be monetary, a legacy can be monetary. It can be acts of service. It can be who we are in our relationships. How do people remember us? These are all representations of what's my legacy, what a legacy can be. What was strikingly interesting about this was that the unseen said, it's both about what we leave behind, but also what we receive. And so they're bringing clarity, heightened awareness. They're bringing to our awareness that whatever that legacy is that we're quote unquote leaving behind, it's also the energy of what we're receiving. So again, if your legacy is shadow, darkness, bitterness, anger, resentment, hate, that is both the legacy you're leaving behind, but it is also the legacy you are receiving. Equally, if your legacy is of generosity and goodness and kindness and empathy and compassion, joy, it is both the legacy you are leaving and the one you are receiving. Powerful, powerful messages from the unseen. So let's we're going to jump to Pam Youngin's North Point Journal. And I'm going to take a few excerpts from this and then her full post at the show comments on Facebook, on the Dearjames Facebook page. So Pam says, a choice point. The time has come for us to choose. I'm not referring to the upcoming elections, but to the much more crucial question that currently lies before us. What qualities, what energy do we each want to embody and therefore contribute to the world? This directly ties to the number 7. What's my legacy? What am I both leaving behind and receiving? Like most astrologers, Pam has had her eye on this week's Mars-Pluto opposition for many months. It is one of the most significant planetary events of 2024, if not the main headline. We've been feeling the impact of this divisive aspect for many weeks through heightened power struggles and emotional reactivity. She speaks about the shadow and the light. For clues as to how the Mars-Pluto opposition might play out in real-world scenarios, we can observe the lives of those astrology charts. At the lowest vibrational end of the spectrum is Joseph Stalin, who was dictator of the Soviet Union from 1924 to 1953. Stalin is considered to be one of the most murderous dictators in history. His reign of terror is a clear example of the need for domination overriding any sense of humanity. And there was, from the unseen, there was a statement about guarding against low-level consciousness. So guard against it externally, but also be heightened awareness, be conscientious, owl medicine, of low-level consciousness within ourselves. Because, of course, everything emanates from the inside out. And so here she's talking about this His reign of terror is a clear example of the need for domination overriding any sense of humanity. Pam goes on to say, in sharp contrast to that abhorrent use of the Mars-Pluto energies, the shadow aspect of the energies, we see that Mahatma Gandhi also had a Mars-Pluto opposition in his natal chart. Gandhi was an Indian lawyer famous for his nonviolent disobedience and hunger strikes in protest of civil rights violations under British rule. His Mars-Pluto tenacity, dedication, and determination are credited for playing a major role in India ultimately gaining its independence from Great Britain. So you see the two polar opposite examples of this Mars-Pluto opposition. We can see it literally playing out before our very eyes in this moment, in this time. These examples. Pam Youngins continues, the higher purposes, while the is certainly manifesting in the stressful tug-of-war we observe in the outside world, we miss the higher purpose of these times when we focus only on the external battle. On an individual level, this aspect calls for each of us to become more self-aware, to observe when we react to situations and to others in an instinctive, unconscious way. We know when we are responding to life in a way that is not in alignment with our highest expression of self, simply by how we feel inside. We can feel it. We know when our actions, when we feel bad about them, or when we feel good about them. And so again, heightened awareness, owl medicine, it is to be aware of this. Pam goes on to say, whether we win or lose an outer battle, we are still in an internal condition of competition, not of peace. The main theme, peace be with you. Master, where Gandhi was to peace, Master Jesus is to love. And this message of peace be with you from Master Jesus is that love. And when we are in harmony with love, there's peace. So love and peace, it's present. It's available to us. If we're in competition with others or with ourselves, then we are not in a state of peace. The universe is limitless. We don't have to compete, kill or be killed. As it was said just last night, it doesn't have to be this way. But our choice, we choose. And so where are we in alignment with ourselves? Are we operating in a place of peace? Pam goes on to say, once we realize that fear is behind our reactivity, we then decide whether to act upon that fear or to choose a higher path. We can use the Mars-Pluto determination and single-mindedness to strategize how we might be expressions of peace and love in the world. See, we have a choice. There are those that will inherit the kingdom of heaven and those that won't, that don't. Choose. The kingdom of heaven is not the ring of fire. They're two separate energies, expressions, destinations. And so again, it's like, choose the higher path. Choose peace and love in the world. She concludes, we also accept that our alignment with our higher self, our soul, is where our true power lies, not in whether we win or lose the game. So our true power lies in our soul source connection, in our heart and soul, in the center of our being, not in our ego, mind, personality, not in the shadow and not in the illusions. And so these energies, this Mars-Pluto opposition, the event at this moment, is demonstrating the choice, and it's demonstrating the opportunity. It's also demonstrating the illusion, the shadow, because we are passing the baton to a new generation, meaning we are moving from patriarch to matriarch, Piscean to Aquarian. And so it is a passing the baton to, quote unquote, a new generation. It doesn't just mean youth, to the youth of today. To a new generation is to a new era, a new time. So let us now move to And let me just bring in our mantra very quickly while we're here. Peace sustains all. Peace sustains all. Not war, not animosity, not hate and division. Peace. Peace sustains all. So again, we have a choice. The unseen, the astrological energies, everything is, and remember Pluto in Capricorn is shaking us loose. The roots, it is pulling us to put us to transplant to a greater, larger, more expansive pot. That's where we're headed. I want to go to Astrology by Lauren. And the title of this is The Transformative Powers That Be. This is a very occult or wisdom and mystical time of year. In addition to preparing hearth and home, we are also asked to turn within to do our own inner work. Scorpio is a sign of transitions and endings, and so we honor and pay respects to the dearly departed, sending them off to the other realms. This is a time of letting go, of releasing, not only those that had passed, but to also confront our own mortality. And remember, we're confronting our own mortality. In this moment of endings, major endings, of conclusion, of shifting from Capricorn to Aquarius, from patriarchal to matriarchal, divine masculine to divine feminine, there is, within all of us, there is naturally going to be a figurative death. We are saying goodbye to an era that we have grown up in. And yet, what's just beyond it is the morning cometh, the joy. The morning cometh, the new generation, the new era. So it's okay for us to mourn because it's what we've known, quote unquote, it's the beast we've known. But that's not a reason to cling to it or hold on to it. What did Master Jesus say to Mary Magdalene when he reappeared after the crucifixion and the resurrection? Don't cling to me yet. I haven't yet risen or fully risen. It wasn't about clinging past. It was about making space and room for the new. And his message, peace be with you. I'm ever present. I'm with you constantly. And I'm speaking about this from a spiritual place, not a religious place or a Christian religion perspective. It's a universal message that is available to all of us. And this, keep going, follow me, because there's greatness ahead. So there's this natural endings and letting goes and facing our own mortality, which is, and she says, letting go and releasing not only those that had passed, but to also confront our own mortality as a natural part of the alchemical process we call life. It's part of life. Endings and beginnings, birth and death, are as mundane as they are profound. And so we all turn within along with the turning of the veil, where the past and the future collide. And our insights into the very meaning of our lives run penetratingly deep. And look again, the United States, there's an election, and you literally see, as she just articulated, endings and beginnings, and the past and the future colliding all at once. It's literally playing out in our lives. Lauren, by Astrology by Lauren, she goes on to say, this year we dive even deeper as Pluto is in this very last degree of Capricorn, along with so many other planets also in the very last degrees of their signs. Like a farewell party to what once was, we are bidding goodbye to a prior era, to a prior generation or generations. And there will be no going back to what once was. And while some will be celebrating, others will be desperately holding on to the status quo. Because fear is driving. There's an awareness. It doesn't matter where you are on the spectrum. There's an awareness